I'm Vince Ferragamo.
And I'm Jackie Slater.
We want to invite you to join us each and every week on our show, OnPoint live stream.
We're going to give you the inside scoop.
Don't miss it. Well, welcome back to OnPoint Live with Vince and Jackie. And here we are, Jackie, just looking at this Rams game. The Packers just went for it on fourth and three, and they
it was a
converted.
Part of the field where maybe you do take that chance. They were inside the 20, I believe, when they did it. Inside the opponent's 20.
Yeah, this is a running game. They like to use this tandem running attack. Jackie, look at this. Touchdown.
Right up the middle, Vince.
For A.J. Dillon.
Right up
just
the
power.
middle.
Just power
You know,
football.
Vince, the Rams are missing some of their, big bodies inside.
Yeah.
Greg Gaines, who is a really good run defender, is being taxed to have to play multiple downs, rush the passer, and that's not his strength, but he's a change-up, mix-up guy, and Big A'Shawn from Alabama is out of the lineup.
Robinson, yeah.
A'Shawn Robinson. They got smaller guys in there, and as you can see, they just cover them up with one-on-one blocks, and then with big splits, and it leaves huge lanes.
But you know what I noticed too, Jackie?
To
When teams can run the football, they're committed to running the football, and
without doubt,
everybody buys in to the attack.
You have to.
And so it's a team effort. It's just as you saw Dillon just get there near the goal line, everybody jumped behind him and pushed him in the end zone. I mean, this is a commitment you have to make. Certainly it is a passing league, but a lot of people have overlooked the threat of the run and how it's helped all these teams that are at the top of their division,
all
Jackie,
of them.
And they're all running the ball very effectively.
They run the ball very effectively, and the thing that I like about teams that run the football, Vince, is that football is a physical game, Vince. But also when you think about it, even though I know all these little guys getting a lot of money and a lot of their names are called all the time for running for catching and throwing the football, but football is a big man's game,
Yeah.
And I think that a good big man is always better than a good little man.
You've always said that, though.
I'm sorry, Vince.
Well, hey,
I think that if you take 5 guys, the nucleus of your football team, your offensive football team, is 5 offensive linemen, and all of them are over 300 pounds. And if you put those guys consistently in a position where they can use their mass, use their natural proclivity to be able to come off vertically and knock people off the ball, use their power, now you have an advantage. You have a group of guys that are motivated to do what they do best, which is put their hands on the ground, roll some weight over their hands, and come off and hit people in the mouth. If you got that going on consistently, I don't care who you are, that defense is going to get carved up. Yeah, you can have an average guy running with the football, Vince. Let alone Eric Dickerson or Walter Payton.
Well, you talk about a big man's game. The only little guy I'd take would be Austin Eckler. I'm telling you, that guy pound for pound, he's one of the toughest. But I'm telling you, you make a good point because sometimes when you have power like that, you can have all the X's and O's you want. They really can't defend that power thrust by an offensive line that's coming at you, Jackie. So and what's so interesting is that combination between a great game plan and being cerebral about the game, and also that power that comes from the 49ers. They do both. Yeah. They have a mixture of both. And when you can do them both, I mean, you're going to be a great team.
You're going to be a great team. Yeah. And I agree with you. The 49ers, I hate the 49ers with a passion.
I know.
But when I look at them, I'm thinking, man, if there's a team or two that I would have enjoyed playing for, it would have been the 49ers because they use not only a lot of variety in how they hit you in the mouth, but they consistently hit you in the mouth.
Yeah.
Whether they have
because you like their offense, you like their running attack, you like what they can do. And
absolutely.
That kind of calls to mind a question, Jackie, is like if you were playing today, what coach would you like to play for? I mean, I could tell you who I would think I would like to, and it probably has to point to the 49ers again with Kyle Shanahan because they are so clever per week-to-week game planning, Jackie. And I think I go back to a play they used last week's game against, was it the Dolphins? They ran a fake screen left, screen right, Y delay middle.
Oh, right up the middle. He was wide open.
Wide open for a touchdown.
Wide open.
And you know what? It was so clever that Belichick tried to run the same play, but they couldn't complete the pass for some reason. It just wasn't in their style.
It's always fun to see.
But I would probably take Kyle. Who would you probably?
Vince, 3 weeks ago, the Commanders ran the football 47 times.
Whoa.
And I remember thinking to myself, man, I'd like to be in an offense like that.
Yeah.
See, I was one of those guys that had to really
Ron
work.
Rivera. Well, he's a football. He's a linebacker. He's got that rough toughness attitude.
I was one of those guys, Vince. I had to work on my pass blocking skills, but when it came to run blocking, you tell me all I got to do is go out and hit somebody in the lips.
Well, you love that. You got to line up and just get up there and play some football.
But I do like the fact, Vince, like you said, the guy up there in San Francisco has done a fantastic job of marrying the running game with the pass game. And, if you think about it, Vince, I'm not throwing my hands up on McVay because if you think about it, remember we had the big 230-pound running back when he first came here? The big back, number 30. You remember when he had him?
Gurley.
When he when he had Gurley?
Sure.
Then we were sitting there and we were saying, man, all they got to do is give Gurley the football 18 to 23 times, and they're going to automatically win the game.
Yeah.
Because there was so much happening in the secondary to engage the front seven to be supportive in the run game. Because if they didn't, he was going to be running right down their throats all day.
And in his system, the pass. In McVay's system, the pass opens up the run attack, Jackie. Where in San Francisco, the running opens up the pass, and then they can do both. So, you have to be good at every phase of the game.
I think one of the things that the Rams are going to have to do, first of all, they got to give a lot of thought to rebuilding their offensive line. It's going to be fun to watch and see how they go about doing that, whether they play with a lot of guys that have been injured, whether they can play with them. They might have great loyalty to these guys, but if their injuries don't allow them to come back and compete, they got to get replacement. They got to get people that can come in and play. Now, it's going to be interesting to watch that, but it's also going to be very interesting to me to watch and see what McVay does with two other areas. Number one, the back that he uses. They've got to get a back that they feel is good, because remember what Liam Cohen said, the offensive coordinator. When they had the problem with Akers, he said that we have to have more production from our running back. From that position, we have to have more production. And you and I said right away, okay, well, you got to get more production, but maybe you should give them a little bit more variety in which they can produce instead of running the same plays over and over and over.
Makes a big difference.
Like we thought we were saying. So it's going to be interesting to me to see where their running football game goes from this point, Vince, because it's going to be critical, in my opinion. And the other thing is, what are they going to do with their pass rush? They have got to consistently complement Aaron Donald on the inside with edge rush, and I think that's going to be fun to watch, see how they come with that. I think this kid Holt here has shown some spiff, and they like him.
Right.
And the kid that 54 has been 54 has been pretty productive. But I think they're going to have to come up with another guy or two, because Hollins they struck out with, and then the big kid from Alabama, he was a second-round pick, I think he was, second or fourth-round pick, right in there, and they cut him. So they cut two outside linebacker, pass rusher type guys this season alone that they invested in. And, they don't have that many picks for the future.
You raise a good point, Jack. With the season winding down now, what worries you about the Rams more? Would it be the Rams draft inventory, because they're virtually limited in their draft picks, or would it be more of coaching turnover? Every year it seems like these coaches move on to other teams. And my thought would be that I don't think there's a coach on the Rams staff right now that'd say, "Oh my God, God, is he going to be gone?" So I don't really know.
Wait a minute, Vince. The head coach. You would obviously be concerned.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, didn't they sign him to a long-term contract?
There's been kind of not a whole lot of conversation, but I believe he got a new deal. I believe the general manager got a new deal, so they're going to be in place. But what concerns me? Let me see. When I think about that, I think the thing that perhaps concerns me is personnel and how you acquire. I mean, the Rams went all in to win the Super Bowl. Von Miller brought him in. Odell Beckham Jr. had him in. Those are two elite players in the National Football League. They're no longer on the Rams. Would you say that they've replaced them?
No, not really.
I don't know that I would say that.
No.
They brought in.
Who did they get? The Von Miller. They didn't get anybody outside pass rush with the experience that Von Miller's got in Super Bowl experience.
But they got a Super Bowl.
They let him go. They let him go. And then OJ and Odell Beckham.
And what they're saying is, we paid a second and a third round pick for a Super Bowl. That's how they look at it.
Okay.
Now,
but how many more picks do they have, Jackie? So
well,
you're more
that's the
concerned
thing.
about the draft picks because you're thinking about building a team like the Rams used to do in years past.
Yes.
They build it through the draft. They
Build
start
it through the draft.
stockpiling players, getting more depth on their team.
Kind of like what Jacksonville has done.
Wow.
Jacksonville
Okay,
has
that's another team.
loaded up
Yeah, that's
with draft
another team.
picks. You know, look at the great defensive line in Washington. They're all drafted guys. Look at the New York. Look at
And
the
their
New
top players
look
not
at the
even
New York-
playing right
Look at
now.
the New York Giants. They're
Yeah.
all drafted players. Look at the Cowboys. For the most part, they're drafted players. You have got to draft guys that are capable of making plays in this league consistently on their own merit, regardless of the system, and then figure the system to put them in. So my concern, Vince, is personnel. Mm-hmm. Personnel is when you can say what you want about the coaching.
Yeah, I would say
You can
so,
say
too.
what you
That
want
worries
about
me.
the scheme. If you don't have the guys to execute the schemes that the coaches put in,
That's right.
you don't have a snowball chance and you know where of winning any football games, man.
That's true.
You know that. You've seen that over the years. I've seen it over the years. So the thing that concerns me is player acquisition. How do you get players that's going to help you win ball games when you don't have draft picks?
So that worries you, yeah.
How you going? What are you going to do? You can't send. Are you going to send?
No.
Do they evaluate Baker Mayfield over this next 4 weeks and decide to trade Matthew Stafford?
Yeah, well,
or if Baker Mayfield plays well, is there a clause in Baker Mayfield's contract with the Rams that attaches him to the Rams that he won't become a free agent at the end of the year so they can trade him if he does well? So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be decided here this last 4 weeks or 3 weeks of the season that has to do with those two men, in my opinion. So I'm going to be watching that.
So as we're watching this game, Jackie, you bring up a good point about Baker Mayfield. I mean, what's his long-term future look like with the Rams? Do you think that just depending on how he plays these last 3 games,
yes, I think
will
it
he
depends.
end up staying, or is he a threat to become maybe the starting quarterback over Matt Stafford? I don't really see that happening, although I do see him. I've always liked Baker Mayfield's ability to play quarterback.
He just stood in the pocket and completed on a 3rd and 13
did.
to a wide open guy down the middle of the field.
And he was hit the play before that, almost fumbled the ball, Jackie, but they recovered that ball. But he shows signs of greatness here when he stays in that pocket like that and his stature is, and he's not as big as some of these other guys. But he understands, what he's trying to do, and he understands that. Hey, throwing from the pockets where the games where you make your big plays.
That's
from.
where you make the plays at, right there, and he's mobile on top of that.
Right.
Now, Liam
Exactly.
Cohen, the guy who did a masterful job of introducing him to all the different concepts that the Rams use in that first game. Liam Cohen said this. Mm-hmm. He said that the talent, the arm talent between Matthew Stafford and Baker Mayfield is comparable. Now, I want to hear what you got to say about that. But when he says that and I hear that, he's saying to me that Baker Mayfield can make all the throws that Matthew Stafford can make. He can throw it underneath.
Is he watching the same game I'm watching?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, Vince. Wait a minute. You don't think those arms are comparable?
Vince, that's
they're
what
comparable.
Wait a minute.
They're not
This
comparable.
guy's working with them every day, Vince.
No.
He's working with both of them every day, and he made that statement with Matthew Stafford being still on the roster. Comparable arm talent.
Yeah. Well,
remember, he was the first overall pick, Baker Mayfield.
Yes,
and the other thing that Baker Mayfield brings to the table is mobility.
Yes.
That perhaps Matthew Stafford might have had at one point in time, but I don't know that he has it right now.
Yeah, and I think Sean McVay likes that ability in the quarterback to be able to move somewhat, to move out of the pocket, because he does like to change the pocket. On rollouts, on bootlegs.
The launch point, yeah.
So,
like
and he does a
move it
lot
around.
of play action pass, Jackie, which gets rid of the ball quick. He throws a lot of quick screens, to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands. So
he helps the quarterback.
Sean McVay understands that, the theory of great offense and, helping the quarterback, because essentially if the quarterback looks good, the whole team's going to look good. You have to play at that position to be able to excite the team. And you have to be able to play. One of the biggest things, Jackie, is timing and accuracy. And you see that only a few limited quarterbacks who can really play like that. And one guy that comes to mind is, Joe Burrow. I mean, his timing and accuracy. He threw a pass 2 weeks ago that was the best pass I've ever seen thrown.
Wow.
I mean, he threw that ball, and it fit it right in there. Perfect accuracy. It was right at the right spot. It couldn't be any variation in that throw. It had to be right where it was.
Right where it
caught.
needed to be, huh?
And so, you look at that kind of thing, and then you kind of try to marvel at, oh man, this like who else can do that? But I think Matt Stafford has those abilities.
Yeah. Well, but this is one thing now. Matt Stafford, in my opinion, gets the edge because he was really good last year.
Yeah.
And he does have those abilities that you just talked about. And it's kind of been modeled for McVay and the Rams that you can bring in an older guy and keep him. Now here, Tom Brady he played 20 years in New England.
Yeah.
And he's on his 23rd season in Tampa. The first two, spectacular seasons.
23 years.
The first two in Tampa were spectacular. They won the Super Bowl his first year there.
Yeah.
Last year, they were very comparable. Yesterday, they're falling on lean times. There were 4 interceptions thrown. I don't know the cause of those interceptions. And most of the interceptions I've ever seen Tom Brady throw, it was somebody else's fault, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think the decision has to be made, and I wouldn't rule out that the Ram organization is watching the production of an older quarterback like Tom Brady. They might be sitting there right now and saying, hey, if Tom Brady did this for 20 years in New England and is doing what he's doing right now in his 21st and 22nd, surely Matthew Stafford, with the right protection, can play in his 14 and 15. So, I think they might be all in with Matthew Stafford. But the thing that they may have to consider is the fact that, and I don't know how long Sean McVay's or the general manager's contracts are, but this I know. You have to have a quarterback of their caliber.
For sure.
Comparable arm talent according to the offensive coordinator, and certainly capable of winning like Matthew Stafford did last year. So you don't want to be without that guy. So the question might be, with Matthew Stafford being out and having pain in the neck and numbness down the leg, with all of that going on, the question might be, hey, do we want to hitch our wagon to this young, comparable talent, Baker Mayfield, who has said that he's home now, we're comfortable, we're growing, we're getting comfortable together and all of that.
And I'm sure he's been rocked quite a few times, too, on the field, Jackie, and he's got his bumps and bruises going on. But,
Yeah, but he's a lot younger, Vinny.
Yeah, he's a lot younger, and he probably can bounce back a little quicker, too. So, anyway, we'll talk more about the quarterbacks when we come right back, and there's a break in the Rams game. Rams just kicked the field goal, Jackie, to come a little closer. So it's 10-6. We'll be right back. Stay tuned for more On Point. Hi, I'm Vince Ferragamo.
And I'm Jackie Slater.
We want to invite you to join us each and every week on our show, On Point Live Stream.
We're going to give you the inside scoop.
Don't miss it.